I want to talk about another thing to do with solar eclipses that might be relevant to you. When we're talking about a lunar eclipse, we're talking about something that affects the people. When we're talking about solar eclipse, we're talking about something that affects the leaders. But because it's in Aries, leaders are people, and people are leaders, it's affecting the I am. I said that. However, when every person and or leader becomes the signification of the solar figure, eclipses affect them. That being said, I know there were discussions about massive human sacrifice this April 8th. Guys, there's a plan to have depopulation. We've seen that with medicine, uh, supposedly medicine. We see that with various conflicts that looked incredibly similar: Maui, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, Russia. And it would be good to understand that this is the case, yes? We don't have a country level of analysis, political, none of that. And there is no mass sacrifice of people to the eclipse. I want to start with a story about the philosophy in China. And I'm not a great China researcher, but this is something that every student knows. And this was something, that's usually almost the only thing that we learn, except for the Cultural Revolution and the decentralization of the system after Mao. Yes, it is decentralized relative to what it was. So China is no different. Okay, if we paid better to the employees, it might be more liberal today, but we didn't. Yeah, just yesterday I saw a bus stuck on the road with somebody trying to fix it during the heat wave. So these buses are made in China. The problem is not China. The problem is how much can they pay and still produce something that travels. So a well-known facet of the politics of China is the notion of the mandate of the heaven. And the mandate of the heaven simply means that if a leader is no longer, we're talking about leaders of very big nations, so very, very central figures, and in the sun, in the land of the rising sun. Okay, so very solar country as well, which is appropriate to have this notion. And so it was said that if a leader is taken, okay, it is because they did not serve the people well and they lost the mandate of the heaven. I want to emphasize on this as we approach the Aries eclipse. What is sacrificed is not the people. There was a practice of putting, let's say, a doll or sacrificing, I don't know, sheep. But what is sacrificed is not the people, because if you are the leader, then around the eclipse, you don't want to have the mandate of this is the mandate of the heaven, okay? Leaders affected, solar figures affected by solar eclipses. You don't want to be eaten by the sun. What you do is try to be the best you can for the people so that you won't be eaten by the sun, so that you won't lose the mandate of the heaven. It sounds strange to Western cultures because we used to demonize a people and thus demonize our leaders. But leaders knew very well Okay, if you're not good to your people, then you will lose the mandate of the heaven. This is why they tried in the West, to sacrifice a doll or to sacrifice this. Um, the attempts to do all kinds of weird things with the planet by people who know about the planets, but who don't really know about occult uh, or nature, are funny. Will they try to do funny things? Yes. My suspicion, because we're dealing with worldly forums around, and I'm not talking about the World Economic Forum, it's just the body that is like law enforcement. Okay, I'm talking about decision makers that are usually veiled under trusts, so we don't know who they are. But when the sun is eclipsed, even if you're not a solar figure in that way, it doesn't mean that it does not affect you. Definitely Pluto in the sign, in any air sign, especially tropical Aquarius, does affect you. And even if you take it more sidereally, Capricorn, and we've seen what happened since 2008, things are just going to be more exposed around hidden decision makers. So my suspicion is that they are trying to sacrifice leaders. And I want to say this because, first of all, in Aries, people are leaders, and leaders are people. And if so, I want to emphasize that they are not doing this with occult wisdom, but rather with occult stupidity. The mandate of the heaven refers to what we would call eclipses, and in those times you want to be the best for people, not your worst. Okay, you don't want to lose the mandate of the heaven. Also in our individual life, an eclipse is a significant change, and significant changes are coming to liberate us from old ways, stagnant ways of thinking. Okay, they're not always pleasant, but they are releasing stuff with the lunar eclipse usually, and with the solar eclipse something new enters our lives. Again, depending on what planets you have in Aries and where is your Mars, you might feel it differently than other people. So what I want to say to you is that yes, Aries eclipse is associated with war because it is the sign of the I am, and you have a new identity, and you're asserted with your Mars. So on a mundane level, there are new identities, and they assert them, okay, in that way. The attempts to create a worldwide government under the guise of nationalism is not really creating a new identity. Okay, the nation state, or the return of nationalism, and I want you to not think leaders. Okay, leaders is kind of right now your commander that is really more messed up than you right now. Okay, they are having to rely on police to just be able to say something. Maybe at one point in their lives they thought that they could have a point of influence, or that joining a global organization is kind of like a good idea, or I don't know, or to affect this, because it's like, if that is going to happen, maybe you want to be a point of influence from the inside. Okay, so I want you to change your view around those solar people, the leaders of people. I want you to change your view around those solar figures, and also not think in these terms that you yes, I'm sorry, you get the doll instead of getting the decision maker. Leaders are supposed to serve the people, and they're supposed to make decisions for other people. What happens when you join such organizations is that, of course, you are guarded, of course, you're in security, but just like every citizen, You soon find out that you're only in security as long as you serve a certain agenda, and you're on the run if you don't, and the people despise you. So I want us to think about this, especially this eclipse. And I want us to shove aside all the things we say about leaders, because right now we, the people, are the leaders, and this is what this eclipse is preparing us. Pluto in Aquarius is the sign of we, the people. That's when we had the American Revolution, the French Revolution. We also had the rise of nationalism. As per a structure that wants to be global, but wants to rely on eclipses to become, okay, it would try to put frontier people, okay, and it would try to give us certain identities of countries that are small, um, in order to for people to align, to have alliance with these things. Okay, it's a small unit of analysis, and the nation state is a small unit of analysis, but people will fight over their identity. So they say, oh, 9 millennia we lived here, 9 millennia we lived there. We were all Inuit 9 millennia, there was incest, and there was practices that now Inuit people actually are still dealing with, not just colonialism, but the internal issues with abolishing the residues of the practice of incest even today. And they have the highest suicide rate, although they live in the best places, maybe not with the best climate. Um, but this is something that we want to know. And I'm saying this of reverence to Inuit culture and reverence to Senna, that is the Inuit goddess, okay? And so, where did we live 9 millennia ago? It doesn't matter, we're all very likely Inuit, okay, various tribes. And what we also know about tribes and tribal system is that people have tribe wars. Okay, I live in the Negev. Whether you call it Israel, Palestine, or an armchair, I live in that armchair, and and just a couple of years ago, it happened in a hospital in the capital city of the Negev, where there were two tribes fighting in the middle of the hospital, and you talk about hundreds of people fighting each other. This is tribal wars. When you say we all need a tribe, this is what you mean, okay? And the nation state is kind of like a huge tribe, okay? This is why we have the recruitments and so on. And they're gonna make it seem like it was a scandal. The scandal was determined to happen. And they're going to take a person that people are touched by, so that you will have a scandal over, and then they say, oh, the government is trying to hide this scandal, they are going to war because of this, because of that. Not the level of analysis that is relevant to us, but what they're trying to do is to have this various nation state with those various leaders so that they can sacrifice the leaders and instill a structure that is global and does not actually give you the family values, the connection to the culture, the tribe or the nation state, okay, as a right-winger, or as a nationalist, or as a patriot, or as a person who is indigenous and is connected to their tribe. It's the same. Okay, I want you to think of Netherlands in the same fashion you think of Palestine, and of Palestine in the same fashion you think of Netherlands. With Saturn approaching Neptune, we are likely to see countries dissolve, and so we are actually set for an attempt to create a new world order for all the basically individuation that we are going to see. So what we're talking about, you say, who are these people doing this? I want you to think, well, one thing we learned about politics, it is the distribution of wealth, okay? And what is wealth? It is water, it is, we say food. What is food? It is sunshine, it's energy that grows the trees, that grows the animals on land, at sea. In the middle, we have the air. So we have air, water, land, and energy, which you can compare to fire. And another element in the Chinese folklore is metal. Those who have these, and then you say we have communication, we have story, we have myth, we have media. Media and myth is the same thing. It is air, but also the other elements. So those are the resources. Your country leader does not have decision making over these resources. The World Economic Forum does not have decision over these resources. They are a government, they are an enforcement, okay? Who has? Well, the people who have, they have a say in the world of kingdoms, and sometimes these resources that belong to kingdom are also belonging to them. Is this a legal possession? Very likely not. And so when you get the leader or even a king or a queen, what you are getting is not the land. And so, and what you are doing is you are doing the job of that they want you to do. You're doing the job of the army. Now, of course, we all need land, we all need housing, we all need clear water, and we all need the ability to say I am and yes and no, and maybe according to authentic self. So the more we get that, the more we understand that that person that we think is the decision maker. Oh, they're deciding this because they're trying to save it. No, the entire Europe did not elect a particular type of political party because somebody is trying to save their own behinds. The scandals that we see one by one, pre-scheduled, unfortunately some assassinations as well, very likely, because it's easier for us to say, oh, this person, okay, we have a huge desire in the crisis to point out the finger of blame. This is where we feel helpless and we feel we cannot anymore, and then there is the finger of blame, okay? We say, oh, people should not blame others, should not this, should not that. Yes, but it's a nice saying, but when shit hits the fan, there is only so much crisis that a person can tend to. If you think about grief, okay, people that go through grief, okay, that one of the things associated with grief is also anger. And when we go through changes, there is grief over the old world. But it's not less important, the time is opportunate to assert that I am and to redefine the world individually. This is the potential, okay? The people you see at the forefront, they tell you beautiful stories. A lot of them are actors, musicians, people that have before they were in any political role, they had like an artistic inclination. This is not for nothing, because they're playing a certain role. And now the musical is democracy. It sounds nice if it was practiced. It cannot be practiced without we the people. I want to understand that the people who think are decision makers are simply accompanied by police. They got there somehow. Maybe they wanted a point of influence. Maybe some friend told them, come to this meeting of our party. There is good food. If you're a student, that applies. Just like a refugee, they would go to see the imam because there is a food voucher waiting for them. Yes, but if they're not of a particular tribe, housing they will not get. And what they need to do for this food is to demonstrate sometimes. Okay, it's how people are being recruited. So we cannot cry over, oh, the people gave their freedom away for food. No, we need to find food, we need to provide, and we need to reclaim the resources. If we do so in a tribe form, we're gonna have Hamula wars in front of hospitals, of you fighting each other, or taking down a certain leader figure, solar figure, that is basically being sacrificed this eclipse, rather than genuinely uniting, understanding that there's more than enough resources. There is more than enough. There is solution to every problem. If they poison the water tomorrow, there are already technological solution to distill them, including radiation. Whoever the people who make the decision, in terms of resources, where would they be? We're talking about those luxury bunkers that can hold and sustain. Okay, it's very likely that if they're supposedly informed, but at this time, the I am, the eclipse of the I am, of course, when people assert themselves individually, also in the very hidden ranks of decision making, you could see, like, the son or the daughter of a wealth family thinking, hey, I would like more freedom for myself. I would really like if I didn't have to hold on to this power in a way that restricts me. What if we distributed the power in such a way that I can go to the sea, I can go to the beach, I can travel, I can drink a cup of coffee at the restaurant, and I don't have to guard myself all the time. Many people are thinking in this way. Okay, in China, the concept of the mandate of the heaven was meant just for this, because if the leader is too oppressive to the people, they will rebel, and the mandate of the heaven, they lose the mandate of the heaven. Okay, sacrifice and adult won't help. The sky is not stupid. If there is a system of life here, then it operates, and it is in interconnectedness with the planets, just the cosmos, and to tell you, oh, this is flat earth, this is that. People died so that you will be able to say that this is a sphere without having the church chasing you, but okay. It is okay if you think differently, and pragmatically, every assumption has implications. But even if you think about it as a flat disk, it still is an ecosystem that has interconnectedness, and has the ability to balance and restore itself. Okay, and we are a part of this interconnectedness. When you see forestation in Sahara and people spending time You know, the other day I was trying to work in the sun to do my half moon circle in the in the soil. I got so sick that I didn't sleep an entire night. Okay, so people invested their energy into this. Is a part of the ecosystem, knowing that hey, those little creatures walking on two and living in weird structures, those guys, they know that they're gonna know that they need trees. It's those guys that are going to do this, to do deforestation and to build. Eventually what we're doing is building the structures that will facilitate the soil to restore itself. Okay, just to build a half moon into the ground, of a sandy ground, then kind of like a couple of holes. We usually use 3 holes. In it is one of the structures where whatever water comes in, the soil holds them again so that it can forest itself, and without even planting a thing, you can bring back a forest. Yes, so we learned how to build cities, and now we're learning how to build the foundation for a forest to grow, which is lovely. Um, and it's a lovely place that we are at as humanity. Okay, there are many stupid things that we do, but all in all, nature does return us to a bit of intellect. And what I want to say in this eclipse, um, it's very likely that those solar figures that we see now in the world, many of them, there will be attempts to sacrifice them. We don't need necessarily to be an agent in that. The people who do make decisions, they would be in the bunkers that are sustainable to nuke, and they will also not so be able to rely on each other this eclipse. And I want us to think about that, because the sun exalts in Aries, and so it is up to we the people um, to be smart about asserting ourselves. If you want a tribal identity, you will have Hamula wars. Horrible fights like every other day because somebody from this tribe was not getting along with somebody from that tribe, and you have a Hamula war. We have this in the Negev. It's horror. You have no idea how many Bedouins run away to the city. They're like, we don't want anything to do with that. When they get to be doctors, when they get to be judges, it's difficult because you have to put a person to judge. Let's say the person burned somebody's house. Okay, now you have to put them into justice. This person is a family member. You know, it is difficult. And so instead of having more justice and connection, people are just having worse, which is horrid. It also has to do with the fact that, yes, children rights and people's rights, and we need to be more inclusive, and just no replacement for that, whether in the tribe or the nation state or the World Economic Forum. Okay, I was talking about Hitler the other day, and Hitler was just one of the solar figures that they sacrificed. He played a certain role. He could not be an officer. He could not get a jobby job. And he's very authentically saying that, and I believe this is true. He said, I could not be an officer. Okay, he liked to paint, so maybe he liked to paint buildings as well. So he thought maybe architecture. If they don't get me to art, they don't get me to architecture. And you are thinking, oh, he was probably not talented. He was probably so and so. He was a person like every person. You know, I'm an astrologer. You look at the charts of people. Yes, you have hard aspects here and there, but there's no profiling that goes into this as a human being. He didn't get to do art, and then probably got into the occult, and he wanted to be included in the war because he didn't want to be left out. And so he had a history teacher that taught him about the motherland. They basically taught him about how to connect with the motherland. We all need a sense of belonging, and so yes, his father wanted him to be an officer, so he was rebelling his father, and so on. And so whatever it is that we are thinking, the way that these people rise into power, first of all, they spend time in the streets to connect with people, to connect with this, to connect with that. But When he got to be leader, there can be some decisions that he could make, and then some decisions that we consider stupid. Those stupid decisions are usually made by either secret society, but what's governing the secret societies? Because the secret societies, they're very much like hidden structures, is the same. Okay, you go to this party, there is great food, then you make a weird ritual, and then you learn something about astrology, you learn something about the sun. I learned astrology from YouTube, but in those days, you had to get to know someone who get to know someone, and this usually happens in academia. Okay, so and it's just a place that you go to, and then you get more ranks and more ranks, and then you ask to do something, um, and to get a higher rank, and there are certain levels in which it begins to operate like a crime organization, and that's what's up. Okay, so the common person is like, are you Illuminati, are you Freemason? It's like they're very likely just going to meet some people and hear some lectures at their rank. And they're very likely thinking that the orders that they give mean one thing when they mean another thing. If you look at the atomic bunker veterans, you press this button and you see this light, and you press that button. You see that light, you leave nothing. You press this button, you think, is there an A-bomb dropping? You don't know, because maybe this is a drill. You don't know if this is a drill or not, okay? Now Prime Minister Rabin was assassinated, and I'm not justifying the person who did the shooting, because I don't know. And he was right. He took a right-wing person. He came with the gun, and Rabin was like, I'm not going to protect myself. He came with the gun, shot Prime Minister Rabin 3 times in the back, I think. And he said, this is false, this is false. Okay? Was he told that this is false? We don't know. But this is how these things operate. You press a button, you don't know this is real, this is false. Just 2 hours ago, there were two beginnings of alarms in my village, which is filled with, people, Arab, not Arab, this, that, religious, Orthodox, Ukraine, Russian, alle zusammen. But it's usually not much here. 2 attempts to have like alarm, and that were immediately silenced in the middle of the night. I said, okay, I wake up. The people who assign these, even if when they're not automated yet, they don't always know if it is a drill, not a drill, that's a drill, they can be told it's a drill. Okay, so you need to understand that this is how it operates, and if you are of the business models that are like, oh, you need to have few people like a machine to be able to replace a part with another, and it doesn't have to be relied on people. Yes, this is it's not going to cost you your business, it's going to cost you your legacy. So I say, oh, what do I need this? I just need money. Yes, you cannot eat money. You cannot eat metal as well. Yes, we eat metals through the food that is rich with what is in the soil. This basically is our wealth. You want to be wealthy, you want to be eating well, you want to be drinking well. But if we don't have enough people that understand this, if people are incredibly going towards other types of mindsets in a way that overwhelms, you could say this stupidity, but they usually do it for security or freedom. Then it's difficult to have a society in which is good to live in. Okay, because by the time that a tribal war comes, or global tribal war, which is like a nationalistic, countries fighting each other, by this time, what can I say? It's very difficult. There are people who are very secular people that are like, oh, maybe it's Saturday there would be a war, but it brings us closer to the Messiah. It does not. Okay, it's not only Islam. There are, And these are intelligent people, good people. But in crisis, people go to those places. It's both when we find innovation. Okay, we look at astrology and we're like, oh, we can speak to Procyon and we get ideas about so and so. We can speak to this, we get ideas about so and so. And this is nice. It's another form of problem solving method. There's nothing wrong about the power of prayer and so on and so forth. Okay, but if we think that a world war brings us closer to the Messiah, we might lose the mandate of the heaven because we are leaders. That's what's up. So um, I want us to remember these structures. Where are the people that are causing all this havoc? Is the people that have bunkers. Where are the bunkers? There are luxury bunkers that are built. You can Google who are these luxury companies, where do they have branches, and you know, go visit. All we really need is to go visit. Yes, but for this we have to be inclusive as society. You're not going to get, there's so many people made inventions about energy. They were all assassinated. Why they were assassinated? Okay, because we're stupid. What are you going to do with that? You're going to say, oh, I'm going to make my business school 24/7 and have slaves that work there. No, this is stupid. If you're going to be as stupid as those leaders that you're trying, to blame for this, then you don't get energy. If masses of people are not going to be more intelligent, we are standing in the way of people call enlightenment, but more like we're standing in the way of good lives ourselves. Learn to rest, learn to live good, learn to understand that you are deserving of good life, even if you are a leader in the structure, kind of a front person. Maybe you just wanted to make music when you were young, I don't know. For people to pay attention to you and have connection with people. Okay, and that's how you became into this position. Yes, it's just important to remember that we're all entitled to live good. And when there are more people who get that, then we get the attention because we get a better sense of connection. Yes, we might not be the king or the queen of the world, and as painful as it is to the ego, the sense of connection does compensate for this. So, and when we have a good life, we're all entitled to have good life, then this is when all those patterns, whether addictive patterns or diseases or just bad decisions, that they are less. We have them less, and so, and this is including how we use technology. Yes, you could use a cell phone to one thing or get lost in it, and most of us sometimes do, or you could use it the way I'm using this. And just connect with people and share information is just another way to do that. And so what is creating division is artificial, because when we assert the I am, there's already a natural friction, okay? But this natural friction is manageable when we understand that everybody has the right to say yes, no, and maybe according to what they see fit. And yes, we can and also when one of the things you do to heal is basically to care for something. We need to do self-care. One is self-care, but also sometimes, what they tell you, grow some plant or grow, if you can, an animal. And so caring for each other in a genuine way, okay, not in martyr complex kind of way. Caring for each other in a way that's not on the account of ourselves too much, but is actually good for our health. Yes, you help this person, you feel better about yourself, but you also open a gate of wealth um, to you. Okay, so it's just natural, whichever society, whichever belief system. And also, if people are completely atheistic is not amoral. Um, and even if you're atheistic and amoral, it's just a pathway that you can create wealth. Is to, let's say you want more land. Okay, start taking care of the land. Start putting your energy into. Start engaging with that which you desire. You want a good life. Start engaging with this good life that you desire. Okay, I want us to have all good life, to have joy of living. I start engaging with this the best I can, um, and so this is useful also in the words that we say, where we invest the energy, um, strategies, and so on and so forth. So I want you to keep those things in mind. The actual gates to wealth, and wealth is the food that you eat, is the good conversation that you have, and even these people that have what they called old money, the intergenerational wealth and power, whether kings or queens, they sometimes want to just drink a coffee at a restaurant and not have to worry about security, not have to worry about being recognized, not have to worry. Yes, we want fame, okay? We want to be appreciated, to shine, for people to applaud, but we also want. It's the same as what people want. Okay, we want to be able to go and have a coffee at the restaurant without having to worry about anything. Yes, so we must make sure that other people are not envious too much of what we of what we have. If they also have something that is either that or in their way of close to that, then we are safer. And it's important to understand that this is true to the Rothschild as much as it's true to the royal kingdom, as much as it's true to your governor, as much as it's true to you. At the end of the day, wealth is, we have a nice conversation, we have a pet that's always by your side, we're growing something nice, and that you have good food to eat, and that you can do something with your body, energy, whether it's to run, to walk, athletic now with Aries. If you have family, children, yes, so when the children are not fighting too much with each other, and they have, usually if they have a big playground, it's more easier for them to divert their attention. Yes, more difficult to control them, but easier for them to be happy, and so easier for you to be happy. And every family person knows this. So it is the same. And so I engage with that, and I speak it over and over. And when you open the gates to this type of wealth, for example, I learned aromatherapy, so I learned how to do, these body batters and so on, because I want people to engage with herbs like on a daily basis, maybe even grow herbs themselves. And so what would I do? I would buy a product that one of my colleagues make. Not as spying, not as business spying, because I put the money where my mouth is. And I enjoy it. Sometimes I don't have to make it myself. And then I also enjoy to create something myself. Yes? So I invest in this. And then it might open more opportunity or more opportunity. Let's say I'm growing potatoes. You know how many times I've just seen like a potato that fell off from the counter, or like food for the people associated with this, or even food for when people prepare food and put it like for people who need to take it, that I had to do with potatoes. Why? Because I was growing potatoes. I was putting my energy into this. And also I will tell you, when I resigned here, now we don't know what will be with the water globally, but I was taking time to put water around, and when I signed, then the real estate marketer said to me, yes, there was a problem with overwater, but I told the landlord, for me it's good because you water the trees. So it's the water is no problem. Okay, I'll just take my commission and that's it. So I can do, what I want with water in the world of, water scarcity. So this is allowing me to grow something. Um, yes, I'm not like a big industrial complex, but I'm not supposed to be, because it's supposed to be accessible for we the people. Okay. um, and it's joyous to watch, I don't know, the tomatoes grow, and that they live and to plant. So it's very nice to watch something grow. So there's a saying also that happiness is progress, and so when you grow something, then it's creating this happiness, this sense of progress. It's very simple things that make us happy. And when we understand it on the we the people level, and the more people understand it, and the more we are inclusive of people, because if we say, oh, this person, because they're a gay person, they cannot grow tomatoes. Okay, but we need to make sure that the children have a childhood. This is what we need to make sure. What we need to make sure is that we're not ashamed to live, to enjoy life, and that our joy is not on the account of other people as much as we can, so not to learn. We all have something to learn, better communication, growing the ability to, I have Mercury in Aries, so I'm a good public speaker, but to grow the ability to listen, and so on, to receive and to give. It's just the same. It's the same thing, like for everyone. The more we do that, the more we tend to that, just the happier we get. Okay. And taking on what Lada Duncheva said about eclipses, the I am. So I'm safe, I'm free, I'm happy. Can be good how do you say, affirmations to say at this time. And yes, hope we send some good positive energy and perception on wealth and on life. And we grow this. It's an opportune time to grow this. Yes, the moon is decreasing, but still to put this into the world, I think is more benefic. Okay, so if you have to fight someone, you don't have to fight someone. You have to arrive at the bunkers and speak to people, person to person, because they are people. If all the people in humanity would gather around these bunkers, and if nobody would have to fear that they would get raped along the way, robbed along the way, and so on and so forth, then it's no problem. It's not they. The Pluto is in Aquarius. It's we. And so it has to be joyous for us to be among each other. And if there are resource problems, so let's do something about this. The people who would be more inclined to do stupid things that they themselves would not think were a good idea, like to nuke the entire planet, those people would be sitting in bunkers because some company sold them that they will be able to live through this. Some psychologist told them that all they have to do is save him or her too, and they will be their therapist, and so on. Okay, somebody sold them some idea, and maybe this eclipse, this is to believe in it as well. So you'd be surprised, okay, how open people are to hear you out when you assert your I am, and how value you have to contribute. Okay, and so sometimes what people fear most is what they but when they release, they are happier. Okay, if if all people lived happy on the land, you would not be afraid of war. You would not have to be busy with protecting yourself all the time, fearing the army will betray you, as the army is said to rebel in this eclipse. So yes, thanks the astrologers is when I don't say names because I don't want to pump the fire. The astrological, we don't shoot the messenger. It's just, you see with the skies where this take place, where that take place. I started doing that when I was in academia. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to see if there's connection like between this astrology thing and, I don't know, the Enlightenment. Like there was. Like, oh my God, you can explain a scientific revolution with astrology. This is, and then I don't know what scientific revolutions are. And I'm still trying to clean my teeth. By the way, I was thinking about, the dentist that I was talking about. No, they just had another surgery. So I was not abandoned. They just had another surgery that they're recovering from. So the surgery that was promised to them, they were marketed the surgery in the knee, and had then yes, a friend, and he said no, it's like people managed to heal this thing. We had a little string sprung in the knee. Yeah, people managed to heal these things, and usually a person likes to do something athletic, so it's kind of like their outlet. The doctor tells them, if you will make this surgery, you will be able to go back and do what you like. If you will not make the surgery, yes, it might heal, but you might not be able to do the sport that you like. Of course, they got them in this way, and we tried to warn him, but he went and did the surgery now. And they did another surgery, and we hope he'll be able to go back and play still, even though he went to welfare instead of medication. And this is a person that gives like subsidized teeth treatment to people. It's one of the greatest things that you can do in a society that doesn't pay for teeth treatment. So, so yes, enough of this. Enough of that. Okay. We are fearing terrible weather. Usually we can get, if there is like a famine or something like that, then if we store food, then we can get through this as society. It's not a big deal. Yes, but to have like a nuclear disaster, the 7 decades you cannot be in the place, this happen only when we destroy the forest and when another forest needs to grow. So we build forests, and we make sure we make sure we are economic, and kind of like if we have something to give, then it's healthy for us to share this. And if we have something we need, and it's healthy for us to take what we need, so we become good people again. This is okay. And so this is where charity is. These are just social constructs that are from antiquity, and the more we understand that everybody is entitled to have these things, then basically we have better life, and they are less boring when we look at the skies, and we have myths, and we have stories, and we are creative, and so we're not this bored. I saw people that are tracing the patterns of birds. There was a person that was teaching geese to fly again. Okay, there's stuff to do. There's interesting things to do. We should not have to be afraid that if there's not a world war every now and then, it would be very boring, or that our leaders are being sacrificed by stupid people, because when you do right thing for the people, then you don't lose the mandate of the heaven. And when you're more inclusive, and when there is less, like economic gaps between society, then you can eat at the restaurant and not have to be afraid. But you can also sing and have people applauding to you. So you don't lose neither this nor that, kind of like the golden way or the golden ages. And And this is true to every person at every position that you can think of. Okay. We have fears holding us back, yes, but well, eclipses also set us to release our fears in some way. And at the other side of fear, usually there is great wealth. So I hope this, and the sun is shining right now on a Saturday, which is appropriate. It's not shining yet for connecting with the archetype of Denebalgadi, okay, or Saturn, for those of you who are Saturnian, and of Uranus, which talks about revolutions and all these things I just mentioned. Denebalgadi is about wealth, equity in wealth distribution. So you see, it's just it's a story that is correlated with the sky, and it's kind of like a part that is activated in the nervous system. And around this time, you will see, we'll get better ideas around wealth redistribution, around inclusivity, okay, because it protects the outcasts in society, and around all these things. So that is one opportunity that is kind of opening the skies right now. The moon will conjunct Mars and then be in between Mars and Saturn. We call this besieged moon. So maybe you would want to listen to this video again. Maybe it would upload by the time we have besieged moon. I'm preparing this ahead of time. So you can harvest on this. And during the besieged moon, it's good to think about the people that are hostages, that are in isolation situations, that are besieged, basically. Okay, will they try to like besiege cities? Stupid people may try to do stupid things. We cannot account for stupidity, but we can take advantage of a point of interference and do something better, more rational, and that is in the line of joy of living and supportive of the fact that we are all entitled to joy of living, and we are better people when we have joy of living. It doesn't have to be on the account of anyone, and we're better people when we have the I am, the saying yes, no, and maybe. We're like a real person, okay, that has their yes, has their no, has their likes, has their dislikes, and can let go of what is not in the alignment, and be in connection with what is in the alignment. That makes, you know, your life just richer. So a little wish or prayer, if you like, for the people that are in risk of being besieged, or are in such situations where they are hostages. And so at this time, where the moon is about to go into besiegement, we pray to alleviate that by connecting magically with those states of the moon that are in the line of freedom. And besiegement simply means the moon is between Mars and Saturn. Mars is about action and assertion. The I am. Saturn is limitation. And this is kind of like the butterfly growing from the cocoon. So and so this situation is existing cosmically, and we want to set intention for what do we do between Mars and Saturn. Yes, we might not feel so expanded, but what do we do between Mars and Saturn, between taking action to limitations? We set intention to to well, to see those options, and to basically, we in besiegement situations, what is being updated is the notion of freedom, and to envision that which is to us free. Okay, when I was in between houses, I spent one night in Amsterdam. I missed the train to the station of the shelter, and I spent one night. It was very cold, but it was not a cold that would threaten my life. It was just extremely cold. Maybe a little threatened my life. Okay, but it's not way below minus. And it was lockdown, and I was thinking, all these people inside, they want to go outside. And so what I want is not just to be locked inside. I want a home that I can get in whenever I want, that I can get out whenever I want, time where I can rest whenever is appropriate for me, okay, according to my well-being, and to take action. So good balance between expansion and contraction. It's like I have my privacy, my own autonomy, which I learned is more because later I would get a shelter which was a hostel. It was the Einor hostel in South Amsterdam, Zuidoost, I don't remember. And we were 3 women, all of us snoring. It was a very beautiful hostel. I could easily book like a bed there. And you think, what do I need? I need a bed. And we had 2, breakfast and dinner, very nice food, and heat, and treated okay. And because we were snoring, I could not sleep all night. And I'm like, this is so crazy. I would never, like, for me, I would never think that I would not sleep well, or that I would have this, or that I need more. I would never think about this because I was receiving, like, this is the best. And so sometimes is about besiegement can be different to different people. Maybe you went on a vacation with your family. It's like, oh, we'll book one room for all of us. We don't want to spend too much. And you thought this is going to be okay, but you don't sleep all night. You're like, shit, I need more. So you might feel besieged. Okay, the other day, a friend, a very, very nice neighbor, they have a place where they have parties. And so you hear this party in its reasonable hours. It's not anything unreasonable. And I was working in the sun all day, and I could not hear a sound. And then I closed the windows, so I will hear less. And again, they were not doing anything unreasonable. And then I closed the windows. Then my cat started to mew because she wanted to get out. I felt besieged. Okay, so I want us to think about besiegement. I know we are at war in this, but yes, besiegement is kind of like you redefine the notion of freedom, because it's like, oh, I didn't know that I need that also to be free. Maybe you thought this is luxury. This is not entitled to this. This is to ask too much for me. No, also I will tell you, when I was in that shelter, then what happened is that I was in the day we had to get out, so everybody was going black because we didn't have cards to the central station. I got accidentally to Aachen. And then I got 2 reports, one within Netherlands, one outside. Then I went back. The kind person was kind enough to let me go back to the shelter in Amsterdam. And of course, he wanted me to go out of Germany. European or not. You don't have money, get the fuck out. And so I was twisting my arm. It was one of these channeled things because I didn't, not my arm, my leg. And what happened is that they gave me a separate room. I was not doing this on purpose, but it was channeled to me. And I didn't understand why this is happening. And then my roommate was also receiving separate settings. And so one night I could sleep. It was painful because I had the problems, but I could still sleep. And they did not bring the food in, although the person that knew me, they was writing to bring the food, but they forgot. So I was fasting as well. I felt deserted, but I could still sleep. Um, and in the morning, I sneaked into the asylum of the Syrian people, and I was like, "Oh God, the Israeli person is taking the Syrians' food." And they had good food there, but with the Syrian people, they could not go out of the shelter, and so everybody, the European, were hating on them. Um, and so uh, eventually that happened, and then the next day they moved us to another shelter where I had a separate room. Okay, just the understanding those times when the moon is besieged is a time where you can re-envision, you can understand that to ask for more for yourself, because this is besiegement. You're like, oh, I wasn't aware that I need more. And to ask for more freedom, for more space for yourself, you're a better person, you make better decisions, you're more humane. And you're also allowing this freedom to others better easily, even by the merit of you just simply busy enjoying your life. So this is the function of besiegement. It's like, hey, you weren't aware that you need more. You weren't aware that this thing that is luxury um, uh, uh, is lacking that thing, and it's okay to ask for this more. It's not against your well-being to ask for this more. And so sometimes these are temporary situations. Um, and besiegement is the moon is moving fast is a very temporary situation. Sometimes it's about asking for more for yourself. Okay, not less, but more. Okay, less limitations on your freedom. Besiegement is good time to understand what are those limitations and to envision something that is more or better. Sometimes it's a change of mindset if it is about human relations. Um, for example, you could be in a monogamous relationship and feel besieged. And you're like, oh shit, I did not know that I need that, but then I need to give this freedom also to my partner. Um, and so on and so forth. Or you might be aware, it's like, why am I acting like this? Oh, I'm acting like this because I feel insecurity about my ability. Oh, why to like date people now? Why am I not dating people now? Well, I don't feel safe to be with them because I don't feel there is a safe exit to this connection, because I need to be financially independent and self-sustainable. Okay, so you need act on this. Okay, this is the function of besiegement. Yes, I will tell you also, I spoke with certain people that during the October, the Israeli side, they were evacuated from their homes. Many of them, they were hosted in hotels. And you think a 5-star hotel next to the Dead Sea, which people travel from all over the world to be at, this would be good. But after a month, it got too much because you are with your family in one room and you feel besieged. Okay, it's not an end, of course, because you were evacuated from your home. But you think how many of such people were in a situation where they were going to work and they were going and they had a wish. They're like, I wish I could have vacation. Or they didn't know they need vacation. When I was in between houses, something happened to me. You would book every hostel, every this. I got assaulted or I got harassed. And I was like, what is this? What is this? I just want a night to sleep, and ended up in a 5-star hotel for 3 nights, and they treated me nice. And there was also a woman amongst the managers, but also the men were very kind to me. And I was like, shit. I was 30 something, and I was like, I did not take myself to a 5-star hotel my entire life. I did not take myself to a hotel. And the only place I felt safe in was not a hostel, was not in the street, of course. It was not even when somebody was hosting me, because I had to escape people who was hosting me, but in this 5-star hotel. And I'm like, in this particular 5-star hotel, that's also owned by a woman. And the men were kind to me the whole time. I was like, something is happening here. My karma was that I needed this 5-star hotel, and all the other roads were like leading me there, because I would never do this. And to the people that, come to sisters, like, I don't have 5-star hotel for you. In October, you had 5-star hotel for the entire country. But you think how many people did not take themselves to vacation? They couldn't afford it. This is luxury. When you think this is luxury, and sometimes you need a little bit of this luxury because you don't understand. It's not even on your radar. A hotel, 5-star hotel, for me was not on my radar. It was not on my radar. And so, yes, my mind was also kind of like, oh, when you think, oh, what do you do for people who are refugees or people who are homeless? These are the people that right now most need to live good. And we need that to be facilitated. We need that to be allowed. I think this is also how Dana Belgedi gets into this archetype story of wealth redistribution. Because you see, I was not lacking a company, I was not lacking even a drive for my business, I was not lacking any of those things, but I was besieged when I lived in the same student apartment with a person that they needed to go their way, I needed to go my way, and so crisis situation happened, and so it was very difficult, very, very difficult, and also I became more aware of certain other things. For example, I always thought if I would travel, then I just book myself a bed in a hostel. Because when I was in Model UN, there was no place to sleep in Tel Aviv, so they said, come sleep in this place. I was a judge. Sleep in this place, and it was nice. So just a week or so, and then I was sleeping in an apartment of that was bigger. It was a very big apartment in Tel Aviv. I could never afford this. I was sleeping there, and so. Simply because somebody found affinity, not even trying to hit on me or anything like that, not anything, not in this way, and also not disrespectful. It's just like make sure I stay in a good place. And so I didn't think like hostel. I didn't think that this would be something that I wouldn't. This is probably something that I would budget for. Now I'm smarter. Understand that if I travel, I need to sleep good, and maybe this would be like to rent a cabin or a place in like to rent like a house, and this would be if I travel for more like than like 1-2 days, but also like if you're the person that needs sleep, and we all do, I would not think that if I travel, I need to book more than like a bed in a hostel. Because I didn't ask for, it's like you want to see the world. And there are circumstances when you really don't need that much, but when you're in deep stress in your life, your nervous system is more excitatory and you need more. And it's not a pill. Okay, a pill is not going to do the job. And I try to look for the magic pill, I tell you that. Because I didn't ask too much for myself. I didn't think how will I be able to sustain it. So sometimes just having the besiegement is a good time for understanding, what do I need more? What do I need more from this situation? What do I need there to be? Okay. Sometimes like, oh, what do I do if such thing happen again? But I first of all learned that I would to work in the sun because I was looking for an air condition that I could put outside. I said, what I do, people need to be able to do, but also if they have like disability or something like that, um, to do forestation. And I was trying it for on me. It was working. Just took my hat and I was working in the sun and I lost it. So I'll have to rethink. Usually you work before sunrise or after dawn, when it is the weather is good. I was thinking, oh, the summer is a great time to do so because we prepare the soil and then there will be winter. As you see, I was incredibly stupid and I paid for my stupidity with an experience of besiegement. But it's very good because otherwise I would get people to do this. Hey, let's do this together, and we would all be besieged and they would hate my guts. And, and so, and I would feel bad. And so this would be bad leadership and bad entrepreneurship. So to asking more for ourselves would result in actually efficiency, because you're actually able to incarnate to do this. And this is Saturn. Mars does a drive, it wants to do something. Saturn has this, but you need this. Okay, just like what before I was in between homeless. Okay, before I was homeless, I was thinking about vacation, but I didn't see how will I be able to do this. And so when you're thinking small. Maybe I would book one hostel, maybe this, maybe that. I would need to get my passport. I would need this, but it's so much bureaucracy, Saturn. Eventually, I flew without a passport. I had my neighbor flying the passport to me, to some woman that I met in Netherlands, and it did get to me, and then they deported me right before I was going to get. I guess I have rights that I deserve. Although I was thinking like, I'll learn aromatherapy. Netherlands have problem with the medical system. People need healing, holistic healing. This is a blue ocean. It's not supposed to be there. I was not thinking not to do something, and I'm Dutch, so I was not thinking not to do something with myself. Of course, this was incredibly stupid. You can you do not, when you escape a violent situation, you need rest, especially if your profession is like consultation or treatments of others. Yes, you need to treat yourself first. So you cannot. Yes, and then people try to help. Maybe it will work for a hummus, for a this, for a that, and I'm like, I cannot walk on my feet too much. And all the problems that I initially had before I got like my skill that could allow me, or that I thought could allow me to do something, to live. And all of these traumas all together, nobody understands you. The person is helping you, they're picking up money for their own teeth treatment. Or like, if I listen to them, they are well into the age, they shouldn't have been thinking twice about tending to their teeth. Like, how do I make with my younger age decisions that are relevant for this time? So maybe I have a chance to be in better situation in the future. And so the kind person, if I follow their advice, I would be in their situation, which is still problematic, and I try to be in better situation, and so on. And when I asked for something for myself, there was food in the shelter. I didn't ask for much. And I was like, well, how about a toothbrush? Was, yes, that's useful. But what I did ask was the oils that and vitamins for my body, and the oils that I could make blends with, that could assist me to think of better solutions and so on, as I communicated with the herbs in this fashion. So people think you're a charlatan that is looking. Because why is this homeless person not asking if there is food in the shelter? Why would I ask for food from you? Why are they asking to buy vitamins and oils? Because these are the things that help me. I'm trying to get out of this situation, not stay in this situation. But I also saw, it's like, what my taxes are doing, what my taxes are not doing. How come if I want to do a job offer to like be a doggy sitter? Yes, and said, how come If I want to go there, I would need a car. Car is 50% luxury tax. Oh, but we have Lightyear 1, which make fully solar car in Netherlands. It's not rich with soul, with sun. Why is it so not accessible for me to invest in a local entrepreneurship? It's, excellent. And the train ticket costs us like a plane ticket. When if I can make good money, I would pay 52%. This is where you aspire to the higher bracket of tax. It means that you make good money. Yes. And then you hear of all these people who do tax evasion and this and that. The problem is that, like, what is happening with our taxation, and this is why some of them do that. What are we funding? And so on. And by the way, this person that helped me, they were Israeli, they were gathering money to travel to Israel for the dentist. So, hey. Netherlands for Netherlanders, okay, but the so besiegement is an excellent granted that you're not like hostage or something, it's great opportunity to redefine freedom. And when I think also about the hostages, they need to return. How do you return hostages? You created the environment into which you can return. I'm in no place to give advice for families of people who are in hostage situation, but they're probably in a situation, I don't know. But if you are around these families, so what can you do to create this situation into which they can return to? Okay, they won't be able to work, or if they would need to do something, you have to be aware of that they will not have accidents. Okay, because they would need to release this energy. So some people are overactive, some people are and they might need to sleep all day, and they would need to see if doing something they have more energy. Because if you're just lethargic, then you start doing something, you get more energy to do this. Okay, but if you start doing something actually gets more difficult, then you need to sleep, and you think it's unreasonable sleep modes. Yes, darling. You've not been sleeping enough, then it works for you in this way. Or it's unreasonable working modes, then when self-love is practiced. I had a friend that had severe trauma from child abuse, and they later did open dialogue. They went from an abusive therapist to open dialogue, and they first managed to sleep because they realized that they're loved. Like, they knew that they are loved. They had a family, they had lovely children, they had a husband, but they, with open dialogue, they felt validated, and then they could sleep. Okay, before that, all the time they were trimming the trees and doing all kinds of things, and they're opening an entire fund to help people, but this fund even was not so effective. I was also hurt by therapists that they recommended, and they were hurt by a therapist. So they were doing something, to change the road, but it had to be refined, and they're not to blame for this. They were paving the path for many people, and then they kind of got to the realization that they are not okay because of what happened to them. So when you talk about like hostages or people, we the people, our society needs to be accommodating for them to read. If you don't have a place to return to, it's more difficult to bring them back, because they would be besieged outside of where they are. And so this is something that I reiterate, and it's not for the families, because the families are very likely besieged too with this situation, but it's for us, the people around these families, that it might not be a person that you're on the periphery of the problem, but you can tend to the problem, and you can raise this awareness, and you understand that we would need entrepreneurship in such a way that people will be able to enjoy work. This is what we are missing in society, and that this work would be yielding. This is what happened to me because I couldn't work anywhere and I lost my ability to work. I live on 100% welfare, so why is this? And when I started growing like plants, I was like, oh, I'm putting my energy. Sometimes things died on me, and I'm getting better, and they healed. And I'm like, oh, that was what was missing. you put energy to something, and it grows. So now you're inclined. You want to put energy again. Sometimes it's hard. You have to find the middle ground, and it's like, oh, that's why I couldn't work. Okay. Because if the corporation you're working for is a scam and scamming people, you lose your body, you lose the ability to move. You're now in the age of airs, inflammation, become enraged. And so, okay, I create, I'm being creative. Being creative is very good for inflammation. Freedom of movement, very good for inflammation. Yes. Even pills or things, they're supposed to be agents in facilitating a life change. But it's also for us, for the people, to ask for more. So in besiegement, you are exposed to the fact that what you thought is luxury is okay for you to ask this luxury. Okay, if you think about like a 5-star hotel, what's the point about 5-star hotel? Is that you don't have to fix your bed, you don't have to think about your next meal, and you can just enjoy and relax a little bit. Yes, of course, if you are homeless, it's more difficult to do this. But it's like, hey, you haven't invested in that. That is pretty fucking important, because this is the place where you feel safe at when you're on the road or on the run. So how about investing more in these places? I think about this again right now. I'm like, yes, I do need to do this more, because if there are these places, 5-star hotels where people are treated well, you invest your money there. Then if, God forbid, there is a crisis or somebody is sick or somebody, that they can go to this 5-star hotel and not look for drugs to keep them going, because some industrialized society says so, and you listen to that stupidity, however intelligent you are. So none of us is exempt from making bad decisions. It's funny that one of the astrologers that I follow most is Moon in Leo, the Slada, and what she likes to do is stay in luxury hotels. It's given her peace and serenity. And this is something that's like, I would never think that to try. Actually, my Navamsha has a tropical moon in Leo. Did not imagine. This is not every luxury hotel is gay. If you know, like the owners, if the place is run right, if people are treated well as employees there, then it's a good hotel to invest your money in. And if somebody needs rest, then take them where they can rest. Yes, not to hospital. Yeah, if somebody has a heart attack right now, that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, but rest is needed, vacation is needed as much as work. So in besiegement, yes, you find this. Usually what you find out in besiegement is that you know these shorts that are running on YouTube. It's like all of this hard work, and what did it get me? So this is besiegement. All of this hard work, what did it get me? You have to rethink things, and you get with insights. So in these situations, for most of us, is going to be just like those weird things like, oh, it's too hot outside, it's too hot. I know I have this thing with air condition, yes. And so how do I change the temperature? And so this is time to manifest. This is time to tend to things, time to act on things. And the restriction that you experience is only reminding you that you thought you don't need more, or you thought it would be difficult to sustain more. Is actually sometimes more is less stress. Sometimes more is less stress, and this is the type of more that you want in your life. So yes, and watch this again when you need this.